BYU Cougars take care of business against Colorado and improve to 4-0 as they take down the Colorado Buffaloes. This is a postcast of Locked On Cougars live on the road.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. I'm Jake Hatch, executive producer of the KSL Sports Zone in Salt Lake City, Utah. 14-year credentialed media member at BYU, and tonight a BYU fan watching things up. Oh, am I off? I guess I'm off center there. Is that much better? I got people watching me from behind the scenes. Oh yeah, I am sideways. Hey, all the same, thank you for bearing with us. Trying to figure this out on the road because we're doing this all mobile, by the way. This is a fun new venture. I've never actually done this on a mobile phone, so thank you for bearing with me, but we're figuring it out. Lifetime. So as always, hope everybody's doing well out there. Back at my Airbnb in the aftermath of BYU beating Colorado 24-21, improving to 4-0 on the season. And I think the biggest thing to take away from this tonight overall is the fact that we saw BYU get absolutely steamrolled in the first quarter of this game, down 14-0. That game was spiraling a little bit. And Jay Hill, Kalani Sitake, Aaron Roderick, name whoever you want, Bear Bachmeier, the BYU defense as a whole, they bowed up and they were able to back themselves out of a situation where they were going to be in a tough situation. My brother Grant's already watching this. He's asking for shout outs. But as always, the biggest thing is BYU gets the job done, gets to 4-0, and it very easily could have been a game where they folded after that first quarter. You could tell Colorado, that revenge card was absolutely on the table. They came out and they were absolutely intent on making sure that BYU was not going to be able to push them around like they did in the Alamo Bowl. But BYU, after that first quarter, really, they bounced back and found a way to figure their way around those issues. Caden Salter, props to that young man. He is quite a quarterback. I really do think that Colorado has got a good quarterback there. They've got an answer at that position, and they will have, I think, a fairly decent season. They're 2-3, so obviously they're going to have to bounce back from this loss. But I think BYU, despite that first quarter, acquitted themselves quite well. And as always, they get the win, 24-21. Late in the game, I was questioning that punt that BYU decided to kick it, and in the retrospect, absolutely brilliant. Up 3, you have a minute 49, coming out of the 2-minute timeout. I'm sitting there in the stands, and all of you that said hi, I always do appreciate you guys saying hi, and there were a lot of you that did, so appreciate you guys giving me a shout at the game. But as they went out to punt the football, I thought it was the wrong move. I thought it was something that BYU was going to miss, is the opportunity to go up 6. But in retrospect, pin and punt, and BYU put the ball in Caden Salter's hand and said, prove you can beat us. Drive us down the field. 96 yards, essentially match what Bear Bachmeier did just before halftime. Because remember, Bear Bachmeier moved BYU right down the field, 96 yards in that 4-minute drive. And really impressive that BYU's defense did the job. Isaiah Glasser gets a big interception, and I wanted to see him hit the primetime dance and really celebrate once again, but he didn't do it. So unfortunately, it was kind of funny to not see him do that, but a big win all the same. And I will say this, Lumos points this out, Cougar Nation showed up big time in Boulder tonight. Absolutely. I would guess, and I don't have a good idea of how to guesstimate numbers, but I would say 10,000 Cougar fans in the stands. I thought it was really impressive. My brother Grant says 15,000. I don't know if it's that many, but they made themselves heard, and that was the fun part that we saw them go down. Lord of Chaos does point out he just talked all sorts of to the CU sideline. Yes, he did. I think it was also a bit of a firing back at the student section that was chanting FBYU throughout multiple portions of this game. So a few of you asked me, hey, Jake, do you know what the crowd was chanting? It was the student section saying FBYU. That's what they were saying. So if you were wondering, you couldn't pick it up on the game. A blind man points out after the first 9 minutes, CU only scored 7 points. Here's the thing. Jay Hill, you heard from Gennaro Guilford on this podcast when I talked to him about a weekish ago, said that he's a master of preparation. Yeah, Jay maybe had an idea of what Colorado was going to do, and he came out, and Colorado went right on the field on him and scored a touchdown. But as you point out, the first 9 minutes, CU only scored 7 points in the rest of that game after they scored those first 14. And the first series for most teams, the first two are they called scripted. They actually have them literally every play drawn up, and you go out there and you run those. And they ran them to perfection. But after that, when you have to start to actually make play calls, Jay Hill had them understood and really figured it out. So it's a big credit to BYU's defense for sticking with what they believed in and ultimately getting the win. Matt with a good point here. Man, what a game. Honestly, it felt like what we needed this week. Reality check early, but an incredible show of resilience. Bear showed us what the coaches saw all offseason. He is him. Bear did very, very well. And I think that's a young man, a good friend, BYU stats man, threw this out on social media. No BYU quarterback, we're talking all time, has ever had 10-plus touchdowns and 0 turnovers in the first 4 games of their career at BYU. We're talking the Gifford Nilssons, the Jim McMahons, the Steve Youngs. Just insert whoever you want. Bear has outdone them all. 4 games, 0 turnovers. Really impressive stuff. And I love the fact that he's doing his thing out there and playing great ball. And I think the bigger thing is that we're watching a BYU team that is continuing to find ways to win games. Like I think somebody pointed this out just a minute ago. A win is a win. Yeah, Joel Harris. Man, a win is a win. Hey, Big 12 play. Props to Colorado. They came out and they really wanted to try and punk BYU. They wanted payback, and BYU withstood it and got the job done. So I really do think that it was fun to watch this. Aiden Bohr, I thought it's like 5 years of my life off this game. It was a thriller. It came right down to the end, absolutely. Big flop. A surprise no Dion dance, LOL. I wanted to see it myself. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Big flop. I'm glad we adjusted. That first quarter had me incredibly worried. I don't think anybody. Trust me, I was sitting in the stands with my brothers and my dad, and we're all kind of looking at each other like, what's going to happen here? So really interesting game in and of itself. Other points are made out. Now, a good point by Loomis. Oh, I didn't hear that. Wonder if there will be a fine from the Big 12. I don't think so. I don't think the Big 12 may reprimand Colorado, but it's kind of the same thing happened to USC and Oregon, though that was an F the Mormons chant. But I don't think there'll be anything in terms of punitive damages right now. Jonathan Hatcher did take Coach Hill a minute to figure it out, but once he did, it was rocking and rolling. Doubting Thomas, Jake, it's Sunday. Get some rest, pal. You deserve it. Dude, I've had a pretty easy day. Actually, watching the game in the stands as a fan tonight, actually a lot of fun. I have not sat in the stands as a fan in multiple years. Had a chance to go with my dad and my brothers here on this vacation and watch the game and had a great time, honestly. So I'm not actually all that tired. A lot of times when I have like these game days where I'm working, I'm actually more beat when I do these podcasts than I typically do. Grant, 2 most interceptions scare me big time. Yeah, a couple of throws from Bear that you get away with. Chase Roberts came down with both of them, but got the catches all the same. CU is better than most people think. Lumos, that's a good point. I think Colorado, they're going to be a problem in the Big 12, honestly. They're going to be a team that you're not going to want to face in Big 12 play. They had a pretty salty defensive line, and they gave BYU's offensive line a lot of trouble. And I also say Colorado's offensive line, they owned the trenches for large stretches of this game against BYU's defensive line. I was very, very impressed with the way their D-line and offensive line played because those were 2 of the major weaknesses in that Alamo Bowl blowout is the fact that their line play was absolutely atrocious. So looked like they really got better about that. We will get to President Nelson momentarily. So those of you wanted me to shout it out, I'll get to it in a moment. Lord Cass, I thought A-Rod called a good game. There were 4 to 5 calls I didn't get, but I can say that in any game. I think we all can. My brother turned to me after that third down that the BYU ran right before the 2-minute timeout, 2-minute warning, whatever. And he said, "Why would they do that?" I think the whole idea with that, just to kind of pull the curtain back a little bit, was the BYU understood if they could catch Colorado in a bit of a passing situation where LJ springs one up the middle for 5, 6, 7, 8 yards, make it 4th and manageable. You gamble on it, you go for it, you get the first down, you win the football game. That's really, I think, what the thought process was there. Now, Kalani and A-Rod will have to answer for that. I'm sure they will in post-game comments. But I really do think that it's a solid win. A good point here also by SWB89. Honestly, Jake, I think I couldn't agree with Kalani more when he said our program needed this adversity right now. It's a wake-up call because – let's be honest. The first 3 opponents BYU's played, the weakest they will play all season. In Colorado, they're not a world beater. They're not going to be a Big 12 contender, but they are a good team. And this is Big 12 play. these are the games that matter. If BYU wants to go to Arlington and play in the Big 12 championship game, they have to find a way to win these football games. And to their credit, they got the deal done. So obviously I'll be looking at all this in terms of my film review tomorrow, obviously looking back at this game. Good point. Christopher Williams, we told you Ryan was in the second half. You know Carson Ryan? Carson Ryan was out there, Christopher. He was out there. He was, by the way, Carson Ryan, shout out to that dude. He's an absolute beast. Like his blocking tonight, when he gets to the NFL, like when he goes to the NFL draft and whatnot, he just needs to turn on the film from the Colorado game and say, guys, this is how I block. He was an absolute blocking fiend in this game. Very, very impressive stuff from him. Lumos, Vampire Cougs and Boulder, LOL. That's a good point. Vampire Cougs did come out, another 8:30 game. BYU got the job done. Really impressive like that. MD2ATP, but still no turnovers by Bear. Okay, good point by Christopher. He was out there, but it wasn't targeted in the second half. We heard from Fesi Satake earlier this week that they can obviously scheme stuff up, but if a defense takes away the option to get the ball to the tight end or any other player, it's just part of the deal. So I think it's something that BYU will learn from. Obviously, they'll continue to scheme up stuff for him, but his blocking alone, absolutely elite. I was stunned at how good he was out there. Lord of Chaos, he's a good blocker, absolutely. Let's see other comments coming in here. Minaxium, I think I got that one right there. Houston and BYU got wake-up calls with a win. The best ones that go far in belief for a boost to the programs. Cougars in the Big 12 going to be a problem. That was a thing. The Houston last night had to go to overtime to beat Oregon State on the road. So I think that BYU learned a lot from this game. Kalani, I'm sure, I haven't heard the post-game comments. He'll get to that momentarily. I'm sure I'll go back and listen to him. But he's obviously going to point out, hey, the best learning you do is in a win, even in a close win like this. You still win the football game. Everybody's feeling good. But the coaches, they have got plenty to talk with their guys about. So we'll see what happens on that front. Big flop. Salter had so much room on some of those plays, electing to bring pressure in the secondary. Yeah, it did. Caden Salter is a bona fide dude. I think he's a really good quarterback. I'm really impressed with how he played. Bob Crane, how fast is Jack Kelly's 40 time? That kid is fast. What I have been told that his 40 time actually kind of belies how good he is at closing in terms of on the field. Because you saw him, had that big sack on Salter, and his closing speed is what it is. It's like a 10-yard split. He is so quick. Maybe the overall 40-yard dash, he's not as fast, but he can close space very quick when we saw that. The other thing is Isaiah Glasker. He has a game-stealing interception, but earlier on in the game, remember, he had that big sack on Caden Salter, didn't give up on the play. Very, very easy with a guy like that to have given up on that play, but he didn't and got a big sack as a result. Eggy, 5190, the option play really got our D tonight. Lessons will be learned. Yeah, absolutely. They will learn a lot on that front. Also, good point here by Big Flop. Bear looked a little bit slow. What's his time? I couldn't find it. I thought that Bear looked like he was thinking too much out on the football field tonight a little bit in terms of running. There were times like, you're like, hey, just tuck it and go. And it seemed like he tried to figure it out like on the fly. I would have just liked to see him just tuck it and just barrel up the field. So I do think that he'll learn from this. He's still a freshman quarterback, everybody. We all get that. Weston, Bear made some long sustained drives. I feel much more confident for seeing the offense step up when the defense is struggling. It's a good point. The offense did step up and help bail out that defense. I did appreciate that. Big Flop, and Bear had some impressive runs. He does run well, but I thought at times there were times he needed to tuck the ball and maybe put his head down a little sooner, if that makes sense. Like that may have been the explanation there. Does BYU have a plan for replacing Mangleson last year? He was the most important tackle in the bigger games last year. I think the whole thought process was John Tamoya payout to be that's Mountain View cross-country runner. Hey, is that a former Mountain View Bruin right there? But I think it was supposed to be John Tamoya payout, but I'm going to have to go back and watch on the film. From my vantage point in the stands, I felt like the defensive line for BYU struggled across the board. I wasn't necessarily impressed with any of them. I'm talking Keanu Tonavasa, John Talmoya Payao, Latui, just all of them I thought had moments where they struggled. Now, I would give a big credit to Colorado. That offensive line, trust me, there are a lot of Colorado fans in my mentions this week sending messages to the Colorado fans. This guy's ripping you guys. Well, they showed out. They did very well. Big Flop is LJ okay. He got hurt on that big hit. He did come out of the game, but he was back in very shortly thereafter, and it was good to see him finish out the game. I think he'll be a little, banged up, obviously, but I do think that he'll be okay with that. Davis, is there going to be a reprimand for fans who chant F the Mormons? Well, it was FBYU. That's a different thing in terms of your chanting at the university. I know it's owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but they weren't necessarily attacking the religious group, speaking of Mormons, by saying FBYU. So I don't necessarily know about that. CU, a lot of you asked about defensive holds or holding overall. You know what? I think their philosophy was make them call them. Honestly, that's what I thought it was. They were going to go out there and just go play ball and say, okay, we're going to hold and we'll see if they call all of them. And the officiating crew didn't really do it. Kalani Sitake, watching his sideline demeanor, he was frustrated for long stretches of that first half in particular, barking at referees, but also barking at his players. So really, I do think this is a solid win for BYU. It teaches them a lot. Davis says, I have friends that say that we were F the Mormon on multiple occasions. Now, I was across the stadium, so maybe they were saying that. The ones I heard were FBYU. So for what it's worth, I guess Davis, I say he had buddies there in the student section, and they were chatting that. That could get a reprimand. Absolutely. Big 12 could reprimand them for that if they can substantiate it. So, but my bigger point is really impressed that BYU got to win Yellow Marsh. I fell asleep at 14-0. What did I miss? Well, you missed a 24/7 like scoring run to win the football game for BYU Yellow Martian. So I really do think it's a good win for BYU. They'll learn a lot. They'll obviously be celebrating the win. And I think the other thing is BYU can take this, and now as they get ready for a short week with West Virginia coming in, who is coming off a blowout loss to Utah, should be thinking, all right, let's get to 5-0. It sure looks like BYU, should they take care of business, they easily should be 6-0 against Utah. It's looking way too far down the line probably for some of you. But it's an impressive thing that BYU continues to find ways to win football games, albeit not playing their best football along the way. So we'll see what happens. And that's the thing about this. Yellow Martian. Oh, you're okay. I forgot Yellow Martian. You're across the world. I forgot about that. You're in Saudi Arabia, I think. So it's 9:43 a.m. here. Okay, good point. I apologize. I forgot that you were overseas. Weston, I would rather learn lessons from a win than a loss. Just saying. I think every football coach and football player will tell you that. So all the same, big win for BYU. I think I'm going to shut it down here. Matthew Stutzman, Jack Kelly, and Isaiah Glasgow, huge. Hey, I'm telling you, they are really NFL caliber linebackers, and we're seeing that every game they go out there. I actually thought BYU's linebackers bailed out the BYU defensive line multiple times in this game. It was not an easy performance by any means. So I do think that they have handled the job just fine. Barrow overthinks because he's a freshman. That's a good point. Yeah, he is playing great overall. It's a good point. And we'll see what happens. I do think that BYU will be better for all of this. The struggles, obviously, Big 12 play, all that stuff. So I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to head home tomorrow morning bright and early, so I got to get a little bit of sleep maybe. But we'll be watching the film on my flight home. Obviously, do my film review, and we'll have a full edition back for you guys on Monday morning. But as always, appreciate you guys being with us. Oh, good point. Aiden asked us, if Moa's health, I think BYU's running game would have been a lot better. Kalani Sitake said there was a complication. So Moa got hurt late in that East Carolina game and had to go to the hospital. That's not good. So he says he's going to be back this season. We'll see what happens. I really do think that'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out on that point. Sean Mendenhall at Hat. Yeah, I'll just give them a quick shout out. They're not sponsored, but it's Game Day Hugh. Sent me this hat a while back. Hoping they'll get hooked up with Locked On to do some stuff with this. Pretty cool hat. I actually think the whole idea is just colors. You can have your team's colors there. So as always, thank you for all your support. I'm going to shut it down now. But as always, make sure you guys check out Locked On Cougars every single day. And yes, a lowercase, it doesn't sound good though. Yeah, to go to the hospital after a hit, a seemingly almost innocuous hit against East Carolina, it's not ideal. But Kalani says he's going to be back this season, speaking of Sione Moa. So I'm very interested to see if he does come back. But it was not an ideal thing to hear from your head coach to have something like that pop up. But as always, thank you for your guys' support. And also, before we go, do want to say big ups, I guess. That's probably the wrong thing to say. But I just want to say thoughts and prayers go out to Russell and Nelson's family because 101 years old, an incredible legacy as a president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, of which I'm a faithful member of, and he leaves an incredible legacy as he passed away, by the way, shortly after 10 p.m. Mountain Time tonight. So a bit wild to see that as I'm literally walking out of Folsom Field. I get an alert from a buddy of mine. I give a big shout out to Scott Dunn, who's texted me and says, "Hey, President Nelson passed away." I'm like, what? So I immediately pull out my phone. And yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints posted on their social media. He passed away at the ripe old age of 101 years old. Oldest prophet and president of the church in its history. And honestly leaves an incredible legacy. Over 200 temples announced, obviously changing a lot of things when it came to church, how things operated in the church. So do want to extend my condolences. Oh, sorry, Yellow Martian. Yeah, that's news to me. I apologize. Yeah, that literally 10 p.m. Like I'm talking 10 p.m. Mountain Time, middle of the game. Honestly, this all went down. Like I didn't find out. They posted it after the game got over on social media. We're talking like we were walking out of Folsom Field and it pops up on social media. Grant with a good point. Well done, thy good and faithful servant that has been faithful over a few things. I will make you thee a ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. Absolutely. President Nelson, an all-timer, a great, great man, and we are going to miss him, honestly. But yeah, as always, thank you for your support. We'll have a postcast, another full podcast. Not a postcast. This is the postcast. Another full podcast coming out for you guys on Monday. And as always, thank you for your guys' support of Locked On Cougars. Have a great night. And BYU once again beating Colorado 24-21 and moving to 4-0, and likely, by the way, to go up in the national rankings tomorrow. We'll keep it all here on Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast focused on all things BYU. And we'll sign off for now. From where are we at? Superior, Colorado is that where we're at? Somewhere close to Boulder. But as always, have a great night. Thanks for tuning in to Locked On Cougars and making it your first listen of the day.